What up, tube? So this is a record that I tried to paint once. As you can see, it didn't really turn out. I think I scraped it. But I'm just going to paint over it because, if first you don't succeed, brush yourself off and try again, or whatever Elias was saying. So yeah, I'm just going to brush myself off and try again on this one. Plus, it's, for me, this is more of a therapeutic art form where I'm just intuitively thinking what colors are coming up for me at the point in time. What mood am I in, really, in painting? And, it's not necessarily, a lot of these pieces that I do here, they aren't necessarily meant as much for the, hey, I'm going to go off and sell this and make a ton of money, as much as it is the, hey, I might just have something on my chest that I need to get out. Might just have a little something that I'm dealing with, or, something I'm thinking of. So, yeah, it's really where we're at with these. But I am grateful for the people who do, take them home with them, because, like I say, it's taking home a piece of me at the time. That's the color shift purple. I think the first one was a glow purple. I might just see what purples I have left here, Start there, yeah. And maybe it will go brighter. That's a little bit too much. Kind of, speaking of too much, I put too much. But speaking of the whole too much thing, just before doing this, I decided that I was going to experiment with Sumi-e painting, Sumi-e ink painting. It is a Oriental, Asian form of art, originally from China, made popular in Japan. One of the things really that got me into doing this was just the idea of, being able to do something different, try out something different there. So I've been on the YouTube rabbit hole, which is actually how I found acrylic pouring, oddly enough. And we've all heard the story, went back to work the next day and they're like, no more you. But I don't want to put this in yet. I want to actually add some other color, some other things first before I do that. But yeah, I went into work that day and they're like, no more you. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll go home and paint. But I don't know if that'll happen today. Or tomorrow. Maybe. It'd be cool. But anyway, assuming painting. As I said, it's originally from China, made popular in Japan. And the idea is that you take these paints, you take ink basically and paint with it. So I've been on the rabbit hole of looking at videos on how to do it. And I'm no closer right now than I was before, I did my first experiment, and I snapped some photos of the experiments that I did. One was me just, making sort of the beach brush strokes that I'm kind of used to. And of course, those turned out how they do. And I did another one right after that of the, what do you call that there? Oh, I just did like a marble thing where you take a marble and kind of like the marble trick you do with acrylic pouring. Take the marble and pour it onto the thing, kind of move it around. And then, speaking of marble, I did something marbling. This is actually Sumi-ingashi, and I'm hoping I'm saying this right. Sumi-ingashi. But you basically take the paints and do like kind of water marbling. If you're familiar with that technique from some other forms of art, you know, and I've seen the people where they do the water marbling even at festivals a lot, where, you know, the person sticks their hand in and comes out all marbly. It's kind of cool effect. So I did a bit of that. And then, you know, for my fourth one, because I just had ink, you know, I didn't feel like using, I tried to draw a cat. I think out of the four, the cat came out the best, just because by then I think I switched brushes and just drew the cat, and, you know, I have Boots here, make it a decent model. Boots needs to learn to, you know, sit still when she's modeling. But, yeah, you know, we experiment with it. And, you know, it was a nice enough experiment. Definitely something that I could spend my time doing. And, you know, I would like to learn more about this technique, you know, as I get into it here. I would like to learn more of the sumi dashi, you know, and the sumi painting. I think the marbling one also came out pretty well, but I won't know until that one's fully dry, because you have to submerge that into the water. So, you know, where the other ones are pretty much, hey, I could probably walk one of the other pieces over and show you right now. You know, that piece there, you know, I think I just took it out and kind of put it in something. It's like, all right, well, you'll just sit here until you're dry. Just adding some glow colors to the top of this. I don't think I put any colors. We'll see. Just thinking from the last time that I did an acrylic pour, I don't think I put any of my gas in, so, you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, you know, it'd be kind of interesting just to see here. There's not really a whole lot going on meat-wise. I mean, I know that I say that I'm, you know, out here doing this basically to kind of get into my whole deal, but, you know, there's not really a whole lot meat-wise going on. I do have appointments this week. Yeah, I want to swipe this. I have some appointments this week that I'm going to. Boots actually has an appointment also. You know, so we're a little busy. And, you know, I have my second ADHD appointment next week. I'm a little concerned that I put in the request for the day off for the ADHD appointment, and I didn't see a response on that request when I was in work last, just because the supervisor did go out of town for their vacation. I would have thought that, you know, hey, if I'm the supervisor, I'd speak with the person and just kind of find out, oh, you put in this request. Do you need the day? Why do you need the day? I'm going to be gone, so do you really need the day? Yeah, I need the day. It says medical for a reason. I think I put it in as a half day, but now kind of going through and thinking of some things and thinking of some other appointments, it may end up becoming a full day. I may end up moving one of the appointments that I have this week to next week. And then actually subsequently moving an appointment that I have next week off of that. This was my mixing white here, or my swipe white here. And I'm just I'm at the end of it, so that's why I'm just kind of like, oh, let's see what I can do here. But, yeah, you know, we'll see. May end up going back in next week, and, you know, they have like the vice boss, I guess, working in that time, because it is a thing, you know, there's layers, so I'll probably go to leave and they'll be like, oh, what are you leaving for? I'm like, well, I have an appointment. Oh, what do you mean? Well, not my fault. Going to my appointment. Peace out. But, oh, yeah, that happens sometimes. Is that, I tape it down, it doesn't really stick with the tape. So I kind of like that. As I say, I kind of do like how it did spread out there. It just didn't get a full spin, per se. But I do like the... Yeah. And if that happens to you, where your thing comes off, because one of the things, I will reuse my tape, because it's a piece of tape, and if I don't really have paint on that tape, I'm going to reuse it. So sometimes I go to reuse the tape and it's not exactly sticking fully or whatever, or even if it does stick fully, it might come off of the spinner. And, if that happens to you, just brush yourself off, try again. I think that's kind of the theme of this. It's just trying again. We're really in a point of trying again with a lot of things here. So, I'm pretty sure now that I even say all of this, that I'll end up going back and trying the Sumi painting again, just to kind of see what happens. And yeah, no gas went in at all. Wow. I have my heat torch too. I don't know why I don't just use the heat torch. I've got to actually put all the painting materials up this week because I have to change over the studio for doing some other things. But, you still have to come in and do your art. I do want to do something with myself and make a recording and, I don't know if it's going to be dark enough. This is still technically light outside, like a staff creative light. It's still technically light outside. So I don't know if it's going to be dark enough for the black light, but we're going to try it anyway. Like, I still see daylight outside, which is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of this time of year for painting. But, ooh, we got a little bit of, darkness there. Yeah, it's showing up on camera. Got a little bit of darkness, so, check it out. Hopefully you can see something. And of course, I have some readings of Anne's diary coming up. I just want to take a moment, though, especially since I just brought that up, just to say, right now here in the United States, there's a lot of stuff going on. Protests in the streets because there's people being snatched off the streets. We have food insecurities and rising prices, and the prices are getting ready to rise even more. They decided to bomb Iran. I know, right? So now we're in the middle of a war. Not even our war. There's all sorts of things happening, and it can seem a little dark. I get it. But, as I always say, light will break through darkness. So whether it's, what's happening at home, what's happening overseas, if it's, government officials and folks who are going after neurodivergence and folks with autism, which maybe after the ADHD testing or with the ADHD testing, they can also throw an autism in there for me because I'm pretty sure. But anyway, whether it's that or, we're going after members of the, gotta make sure I get this right, LGBTQT community, especially the trans folks. Going after them right now, whether we are, fighting away because they're going after women's rights with their bodies. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I'm not a Caucasian, so you have a president who spent Juneteenth saying there's too many holidays. We all know what he meant. So you're going after, you're taking down historical markers for Black Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans. I can keep listing. Whether they are, supporting Russia and trying to demolish the Ukraine, whether we're supporting, Israel and the genocide of the people of Gaza, whether we're supporting the bombing of Iran. I can keep going, whether we're just raising prices on everything, telling people they're supposed to get cheap eggs when y'all ain't getting no cheap eggs. Whatever it may be, whether we're, in a country where, I'll just say it, you're using the Lord's name in vain by your Christian nationalist stuff. Whatever it is, that may have us down right now. Just remember that light breaks through darkness every time. Whatever darkness there is. And, it can get personal with us also. I'm looking at a picture of myself here where, I'm just not a happy person. I think that was taken a couple weeks ago, which, bonus, it's been almost a month without cannabis. I'm still not happy about that, but, we'll keep pressing on. I kind of want to wait until I do the second round of testing before I go back, just to make sure that, it's me and not the weed, I guess. But yeah, and whether it's cannabis, and people coming after you for drug, charges, or just coming after you for, your choices in life. Whatever that darkness is. And as I said, whether it's personal, if it's anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress. I'm just naming stuff I have at this point. According to whoever, whatever, back pain, toothaches, just whatever your darkness is, light will break through. Okay? Till next time, folks. Deuces.